Hello and welcome back to HCS Weekly.
I thought, yo, this is my life. I have to go pro in Halo.
In my head, thought that was more efficient, and I guess I was right.
He was like the god. We would have to 2v1 like just to beat this guy. Like
I don't know, man. I'll try reaching it. You're like, oh, see you guys later.
A lot of Halo in my life, man. It's been a fun journey.
I love it. Hello, welcome back to HCS Weekly, your weekly destination for all things HCS. I'm your host, Shyway. We're on episode number 53, over a year's worth of episodes of HCS Weekly, and it's been a great time. And it's been great having you guys along for the ride as Halo continues to ramp up. We get closer to the end of the year. Of course, right now we're celebrating our 5 years of HCS. HCS has been around for 5 years now. November 5th is that big day where they have a big announcement on the future of the platform. Right now, we're going to take a look at year 3. So this is jumping back to 2017. A lot of really great things happened in 2017. The come up of some amazing players. You had Hook and Shotzzy and Renegade and the forming of Splice and Envy and their dominance. So a lot of really great stuff to talk about. And who better to talk about it with than Alumni, who's the coach of Envious and now the manager of Envy as well. So a lot of exciting stuff coming up. Of course, before that, we got the news. We also have our giveaway. If you type !grassroots in the chat, you enter yourself into that giveaway for the BR skin and nameplate. We give one away every single episode, guys. So if you miss your chance this week, make sure to come back next week for the end of the show. Now, let's get into our news with Matty Rum from DukeCombo.com. Hey, Matty.
Hey, what's up, dude?
Not much, man. Apparently, you had to rush to get here on time. You said you're not going to be here for the news. It's all you, Shyway, and now you're here. What happened?
Yeah, I left work a little late and hit some traffic. So I don't know if you've been in the New York, New Jersey area during rush hour. It's not the best.
No, I've only heard horror stories. It sounds brutal, man. For me, I'm on it's called the TTC. It's the Toronto Transit. I take the subway around. Don't bother with it.
Don't have to worry about traffic.
Well, I worry about other problems, but that's a whole other story. Thankfully, you made it though. You're here. We got some news today, but nothing crazy apparently. What do we got?
Yeah,
today?
Another week, not too much. Right. No playlist updates or anything, but a lot of people were wondering about side events for DreamHack Atlanta,
right?
And they officially announced that there'd be a Halo 5 2v2.
Let's go.
So it's going to have a $5,000 prize pool. It's a team limit of 48 teams, and you do not need to buy a team pass to enter yourself. You only need a spectator pass into DreamHack.
Okay, which is a more affordable option. I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, I think the team pass was like $140 or something. A spectator pass I think was like $60, something like that. But signups will be on site Saturday morning. So if you plan on it, make sure you're there early.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's that.
I mean, definitely exciting. I know there are a lot of Halo 5 players who want to have this option available. It raises a lot of questions for me as well, though. I'm wondering, will they have a broadcast for it? Because I hope that it appears on the broadcast at some point. Because remember, back at Face at London, it just didn't happen. Right. And then who's competing? You know what I mean? Like Shotzzy right now, we just had that huge announcement from Shotzzy joining Dallas for COD. This man's busy. Is he going to still try to, compete in a Halo 5 2v2? Saiyan said he stopped playing Halo 5. So some of the big guns that were available back in Atlantic City, I don't know if they're going to carry over. We have New Blood coming in, so interesting, right?
Yeah, I guess we'll have to see what Neptune and Falcated are up to.
Yeah,
and then you got Proximity and Reclaimer. Oh yeah, and Renegade. That'll be interesting. So if he decides to play, who he'll team with.
Yeah, Proximity and Reclaimer actually played pretty well. I'm sure they're going to want to come back for that also. And if the some of the big competitors are out of there, maybe they got a chance to win it, to take it all. So that'd be pretty exciting. We also have some Halo 5 playlist updates.
Yeah, so like I mentioned a week or two ago, they planned out their calendar, but this week and next week we have the Covenant Slayer and Warzone Assault playlists are up now, and then on October 17th they're adding the Halo 2 Battle Rifle Slayer into the mix. And then there was also an interesting note in the community update from Unishek, where he said that they're thinking about decreasing the amount of playlists available at once. So they're not going to permanently delete all of them, but I don't think they're going to make as many available to play, because they're saying it could help matchmaking times, finding matches. Yeah. Rather than spreading out the population throughout, 8 playlists.
Right. I totally get the intention. I feel like that might work, but it also brings up these other worries. We're at this point right now where these playlists have been around so long and people have kind of, there's little pockets, little communities that are established within them that'll be upset if they go. Like I didn't realize that by adding HCS2s, you remove the doubles playlist, and there's actually a small community of people who play doubles and love doubles the way that it was with those settings. So I had people come into my Twitch stream in my chat and say, like, why does this have to be? Like, why did they change it? What the heck? It's not fair. I didn't realize that people would get upset about that. So it's like you can never please everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's definitely not pleasing anyone.
Yeah.
But if you had every playlist available, then you probably wouldn't be able to find a match in anything.
Exactly. Nobody be able to play. So it's a weird dilemma that they're experiencing, but I guess they'll continue to kind of rearrange things and hopefully they find a balance that works. And, all just kind of a waiting game until we get the big, the guns coming in, right? The Halo Reach, MCC, and Infinite at some point in the future. In the meantime, we've got DreamHack qualifiers.
Yeah. Qualifier 1 took place last Saturday. Finishing first was Tox Gaming. Lethal Snakebite World 2 APG. Second was Lux Gaming, which is they were under the team name Cleveland Stainers, but it's Lux.
Okay.
Goofy, Gilkey, Ryan New, Gabriel. And then in third and fourth were Mantra, which is Ace Commonly, Trippy, and Penguin.
Yeah.
And $5 Nug, which is Straight Sick Aries, Fantasy, and Shelly.
Which this is interesting to see, right? Because the last time we saw Lux and Tox go up, actually they didn't go up against each other in the tournament, but Lux won it pretty dominantly. So now we're starting to see this in qualifiers. Of course, online doesn't tell the full story, but right now Tox continues to showcase that they are, as strong as they are as a squad. And those qualifiers will continue upcoming this weekend as well, right?
Yep. On Saturday, the 12th, is the second qualifier at 12 p.m. Central Time. And then on Sunday, the 13th, there's a Live for the Game Halo 5 2v2 and Blam Gaming Halo Series Grand Finale.
Nice. Yeah, so a lot of stuff to look forward to just in the upcoming weekend and more qualifiers. And then eventually we have Atlanta. We have our announcement on November 5th. So some stuff to look forward to, guys, some reasons to stay engaged and excited about Halo. And once again, Maddie, thank you for delivering the news. Of course, guys, everything is on noobcombo.com. If you want more details, go to noobcombo.com. You can access all of the stuff that we talked about. Thank you, Maddie, for joining me.
You got it. Anytime.
No problem. All right, that closes our news for today's show. I'm excited to bring on our guest, the manager at Envy Alumni. How's it going, man?
What's going on, guys?
Man, happy to have you here. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to gush a little bit for a second, but there's a couple people where, like, for some reason, I just know when I meet certain people that I'm going to like them. You're one of those people.
Appreciate that.
I think it's because I met your brother, and your brother was such a cool guy. And I've also watched some of your streams, and I know you're an anime fan. You play a lot of different games. Of course, you got some Final Fantasy up in the background. This is all stuff that I love to nerd out about. And speaking of nerding out, you just came back from Japan as well, right?
Yeah, I've been back for a couple weeks now. Unfortunately, I miss it a lot. They're going through some stuff out there with some weather, and but besides that, had a great experience with my brother and one of my other coworkers who's a videographer for the company. And it was a long time coming. Been dreaming about going to Japan for a long time. And it just kind of it's funny how you plan for something in your mind, you're visualizing it, and then all of a sudden it just materializes and you're just there. And it was deep for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it looks incredible. We had a quick video clip. Here's some background here. It looks a little
oh God.
Stretched out here, but where is this? What's this all about? Is there a Gundam cafe there? Is that what that is? Or
so we had just got to Odaiba, and randomly Ultra Japan is going on there.
Okay. What is that?
So it's like a music festival. So a lot of people are there just enjoying, that event, but the Gundam statue is there as well with the Gundam cafe. So it's connected to a big mall, really, really nice mall. And there's a miniature Statue of Liberty not, too far away from that as well.
So sick, man. I went back in 2014. It was the best place I've ever been to, and I've been wanting to go back since.
Yeah.
But you went to Akihabara, right?
Yeah, Akihabara. Yeah. I went there and nerded out on, a lot of Gundam figurines.
Did you buy stuff?
I bought a few things, but you got to be careful because, you can just spend a whole bunch there. And it was... It was towards the beginning of our trip, and as we still had Osaka and Kyoto to go to. So I kind of held back a little bit, and probably next time I'll make more of a mission to spend a little bit more time there. But the experience overall, going to the retro gaming arcades and
So
seeing
sick.
yeah, it was just awesome. It's stuff that I don't ever really get to experience here in the States.
Yeah, like something you guys got to know if you go to Japan is arcades are next level in Japan. Like every single arcade, it's like multiple stories, right? Like there's
multiple
that
stories,
Sega building you had in the background in
Mhm.
one of your photos. That Sega building's crazy. It's like 8 stories of just different games,
Different
every
games.
single level.
Yep.
Yeah, it's so sick, man. I could talk about that stuff for hours, but
Yeah.
I'll keep it going though, because I know you're busy. You got so much going on, man. You're working with Envy right now. Envy's killing it in COD. We have huge announcements coming up. How has that been? Like coming back to Envy? What are you up to over at the company, and how crazy is stuff over there right now?
It's been pretty hectic, making sure that, we're transitioning into this franchising model with our Call of Duty team properly. And we've just been unveiling announcements for our players. And so far we've announced Clayster and Shotzi.
Yes.
And shooting all that was, it took a lot of hard work, and shout out to a lot of my coworkers, long hours, long days, making sure all the story is told the way that it needs to be.
Yeah, I think you guys did an amazing job. And just to show, for those who haven't seen, we have Shotzi's announcement video. Let's show that with audio, and then we'll come back.
Awesome.
You may not know who I am,
If we don't hear it, the stream probably still does.
but I'm about to change that. My pro career began when I busted on the Halo scene at the age of 16. Over the course of 2 years, I racked up 5 championships, including 1 world championship. Despite my success, I knew it was time to make a change. I saw the potential in Call of Duty and started taking it seriously when I turned 18. I've always been known as a mechanically gifted player, so it wasn't long before I got the attention of my teammates. Even though I never competed in Call of Duty, they decided to take a chance on me. I know it's a big risk for a team to take a chance on an unproven player like me, but I'm going to show everyone what I'm capable of. I know I have a lot to prove this year, and there'll be a lot of eyes on me, but I'm going to let the results speak for themselves and put on for the city of Dallas.
So big plays, man. Big plays. Were you
Yeah.
involved in any way in the decision making behind this? Like Shotzi, he hasn't he's not competed in anything in COD, but now he's playing with Clayster, who's a world champion. Like how does he get there so quick?
I mean, look at his resume. So you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
he did play at Miami. I think he teamed with Faro, and people have kind of just been paying attention to him, even like after a lot of the Halo stuff that he's been doing, even in COD. Like he's been playing like with top pros, like and a lot of the chows and online tens that they do.
Right.
And a lot of other pro players, they can see like that transition, like slowly into Call of Duty. Like his movement, obviously, is just insane. Like even with him not playing very much COD, you can see his movement is similar to a lot of the top SMG players.
Right.
So it's just a no wonder that a lot of teams and a lot of players would be interested in him, and obviously we were interested in him as well.
Yeah, he's got to kind of be like over the moon right now. This seems like an amazing situation for any of these pro players who end up in these franchised teams. Like, what do you think about this big transition, right? Like Call of Duty going through this franchising process. Do you want to see Halo do something like that at some point?
I would love for Halo to get to that point. I would love for Halo to, get back on the grounds that we once were, and at least in my time, where I felt like Halo was the premier first-person shooter for sure. But I have no doubt that they're putting hard work into the game. I know a lot of the guys that are there working with 343, a lot of respectable guys who are definitely putting their best interests into making a Halo game that they can actually stand behind. and feel confident that the community is going to accept and it's going to be accessible in terms of the playlists and whatnot, and it's going to be catered to everyone's needs.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's all we can do is have faith and be optimistic about it, right?
Yeah.
And like you said, you wanted to go back to how you remember it being when Halo was on top, Halo was king. You've been around Halo for a very long time. I was wondering, where did it all begin before we get into our year 3 of HCS? How did you first get into Halo?
Well, obviously Halo 1 was like my first game I ever played on the Xbox when it first was released in 2001.
Nice.
Me and my brother played a whole bunch of that. We were better than just about everybody around our area, but there was a select few people that were, pretty good, and we didn't find out about that. So we went to a pretty major LAN, a pretty big LAN in Halo 1, and got just destroyed by some people. This team called TOD, I think it was, and I think Squared knows of them from back in the day. And then Halo 2 just became obsessed with it. And that's all I could ever think about was trying to, pursue playing professionally. And I think when I was finally able to go to a tournament, I went to Dallas, my first event actually in 2007, and didn't do that well. But the next event, I got picked up by Arcanum. There's another player, Devious, and another top amateur player, Arsonist. And then that's when I started breaking into the pro FFA scene and pro 4v4, and then finally signed a contract in Halo 3 2008 with MLG, and then played Halo professionally for the next few years, all the way up to about 2015 when I made that transition over to coaching, going into 2016 to Halo 5 with Huke and Boo Boo Doo Predator, Predevinator, and Contra.
Yeah. So you actually, you have an incredible amount of experience. It's unfortunate because I went to the wiki and I was trying to read more, but then I looked at your tournament results, and there's so many tournaments all the way back to 2007. You had a stint with Status Quo. You were with Status Quo for a little while. You bounced on some pretty reputable rosters. You had some pretty good placings in Reach as well. Some top 8s there. So so a lot of stuff that you'd been through. And of course, your brother was along for the ride there. You and your brother, are you very competitive with each other? You guys play together a lot, getting on the come up?
Yeah, I mean, that's how that competitive nature was nurtured, honestly, because he was the only one near me when growing up that was on my skill, or if not better at certain games. So we were playing fighting games against each other, like Dead or Alive, Soul Calibur. We were playing Madden. We used to get in fights over Madden. That's what helped us get to where we were, to be able to utilize that competitive nature and put it into something, to turn it into something productive and not just a hobby that takes up time.
Yeah, that's something that you wanted to do from a young age. You realized you wanted to be productive with it early on, or was it more so you just wanted to play more, you wanted to compete? Because that's a very mature mindset to have,
Yeah, so at the time it was just about just being a professional player, and showcasing the fact that I'm just better, than separated myself at the time. And then as time grew on and passed by, I decided to think about more so long term in a time period where no one was really thinking about esports too much long term, because it was I want to say 2011, 2012. So very in the infancy stages. It wasn't too many organizations. Kids were finally starting to get sponsored by organizations and whatnot, and started making a business business move transfer from playing professionally to coaching, to get into an organization, to transition over to managing professional players and teams. Because of the experience, because of actually growing up and playing professionally and understanding what these pros, their lifestyles and how to communicate that to, the investors and whatnot. And here we are now. And so.
That's the thing. You had to have some incredible foresight to see, this can't last forever, this moment here. I can't just be a competitive gamer. I need to find other options. And of course, gaming is your passion. You want to stick with the industry. and you get into coaching. And like, was coaching really that big at the time? Like, when did coaching start to become like, a part of competitive Halo? I remember back in the day, they didn't even have headsets. They just shouted at each other. Like, do they have coaches back then?
They did have coaches, but it was always, for some reason, people always looked down upon. They looked down upon on coaches for some reason, and because they looked at coaches as a person who, if I can't play, I'm gonna coach. So you must not be good enough to get on a team because you're coaching. That's how a lot of people would perceive that, but not knowing the benefits of what a coach can bring to the team and helping players just focus on what they need to do because the coach is getting all the information that they need to and doing all the homework and presenting it in a way that they can absorb it and apply it to their games so they can perform better with their teammates and not just themselves. So articulating that to players was something that I was, really good at. So that's why I took that opportunity, and I saw talent, and I have a really good eye for who's going to be, a top prospect. I really do feel like I can identify that and see who's going to be a good player, who's going to falter, who's going to mess up, who's going to be average type of thing. And that's the coaching aspect is very important, and it wasn't back then. And now people are understanding that there's many opportunities that I can build from coaching and, moving up, and getting into an organization and creating themselves, getting an opportunity to move up through an organization.
Yeah, just so much more than just keeping times on power weapons and customs and whatnot. It's and I feel like you were one of the kind of people who pioneered that sort of opportunity. And of course, it all started with Denial, I guess. Is that your first gig as a coach? How did you get into this?
No,
actually, or you had something before that?
I coached Dynasty for I think it was 2011 or 2010. I think it was an invite-only top 8 Halo 3, but Reach was out at the time. Reach was being played at Dallas, at the event Dallas, but the top 8 from Halo 3 were playing in their own tournament, and I think it was Richie Hines, APG, Clutch, and goodness gracious, I forget who was our fourth. It was so long ago, but I got my first taste of coaching in Halo 3, and I honestly do feel like coaching Halo 3 is a bit harder than coaching Halo 5.
Why is that?
Because you just have so much more information in Halo 5. You have things popping up, letting you know when times or when stuff's about to come up, and weapons and whatnot. And Halo 3 is kind of like if nobody had a vision on whether or not a sniper got burnt or rockets got burnt, then you kind of like have to do some research in terms of like assuming when what the time would be when it was burnt, because it's not there when the time it's supposed to come up. So you kind of had to think a little bit more. You had to pay attention a little bit more to just specifically times and not so much small talk to your teammates, feeding them bits of information. You kind of just had to focus on power-ups and stuff a lot more than you did in Halo 5.
Yeah, like so many things, especially when you have dirtying weapons in play. That would be so much harder to kind of keep track of. You have to have a keen eye for stuff like that, or even just good at predicting it. Yeah,
and predicting
people's screens. Yeah. And like you said, it's a little different in Halo 5. You're kind of mentoring and you're keeping their mindset stable. You're making sure that they're playing their best Halo and they're staying coordinated. And that's some stuff that we're going to look at in a little bit. So then tell me about Denial. You said you had a keen eye for talent, and you stumbled across Hook, who became just a total god. How did this Denial situation come together with you as the coach?
Okay, so I started playing against Huke and Boo Boo Doo in some of the tournaments, and there was Breakout at the time. And so I was just like, who is this, kid? He's like, he's pretty solid and whatnot. And then after I decided to take a step, down from competing, I noticed that he was going to be playing with Contra and Predevinator. And I was like, wow, like Contra's nasty. Devin's been nasty for a while, but not that many people knew that Devin was nasty. Devin's been nasty for a long, long time.
What happened to Devin? Do you know what he's been up to?
I think he went to the military, if I'm not mistaken, last I talked to him. Yeah. Okay. I saw a lot of potential, and for me to also shine as a coach, because communication on that team wasn't per se the best, because Devin didn't communicate too much. Contra kind of did. Boo Boo Doo was probably a little bit more vocal, and Huke was so-so with communication at the time. And so it created a lot of opportunity for me to small talk and kind of make play calls, actually.
Right.
You know, and if you listen to a lot of the listen-ins from some of those games, you could hear me talking and giving insight and, you know, certain objectives for the guys to follow. And they listened to a lot of that. And it just worked for our structure and how we were running the team.
Yeah, and I mean the result of that was you guys actually did pretty well throughout that 2016 year, and I mean in Worlds you got 4th place, which is a pretty incredible placing, especially with a bunch of players who weren't recognized before that, like Boo Boo and Hook. Nobody had any idea who they were. It's the first year on the circuit, and all of a sudden they're hitting these these amazing placings.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I mean, of course, the focus of the conversation is 2017 is what we're going to look at. So let's try to jump forward there. A big transition happens. Denial splits up after Worlds. Envious starts to come together. Of course, there's a little bit that kind of it transpires before that, but eventually we have Hook, Snipe Down, Ola, and Mikwen, which is just seems like the God Squad that was designed to destroy Optic at the time. And we've got a bunch of footage and promo stuff that we can throw up in the background so you guys can get a look at the squad. But how does that come together? Like, tell me about how this squad comes together at such an important time in Halo.
Well, it just play styles, and I knew, and we knew that we needed to get Snipe Down at the time because it was Mikwen and Ola, and we just knew that if we got enough slaying power with Mikwen and Snipe Down, and obviously you have Ola who's either going to slay or he's going to basically do whatever he needs to do because that's just him. He's a versatile player. He could do anything on the map at any given time. And getting Hugh was just the icing on the cake. We knew 100% that's what we needed. We needed a fresh new style of play because you have 3 veterans, right? Who kind of play more so an old school style of Halo in a way. And then you have Hugh who plays that new style of movement and utilizing all the angles and geometry of the map at all times. And I'm not saying like the other 3 didn't do that, but for some reason, Hugh is like just kind of his play style was just clearly different.
Yeah. On top of his shot and in reaction time just being incredible, like stuff we've ever seen prior. Yeah.
Yeah, and he doesn't take into account any of these players' names that he's going against because he has no emotion going into it. So that factor alone is a pretty important factor too, because you have a lot of other players who look at names when they're fighting or and it kind of intimidates them or they have a lot of pressure on them and whatnot. And Hugh just doesn't have any, like he's just a beast, like overall, like and he just fit in perfectly with us, and it was exactly what we needed for the team. Like did exactly what we are set out to do, and that's beat Optic.
It's because he came from COD, I guess, right? So he had his community was COD. He comes into Halo. He didn't know too much about Halo's history coming in, so he doesn't get the intimidating factor you get from seeing all these recognizable names. Is that what you're saying? Yeah,
I feel like that can play a role in some players.
These people are your idols as well, for some people, right?
Yeah, for some people, yeah. It's surreal playing against some of their idols. For him, he played a little bit of Halo 3 back in the day, nothing too crazy. Obviously, people have played Halo. A lot of people in the esports world roots started from Halo 2, if not Halo 1. Right. So everyone has had some sort of experience. Most people, I would say, have had some sort of experience in Halo. But it's funny. I actually found Boo Boo Doo Boo in Halo 4. I used to stream a lot of Halo 4, and he would join a lot of my random FFAs I would hold with viewers, and he was just annoying. Then he was so young, but he didn't speak because when he did, obviously he had that deep voice. So it was what I mean. So he didn't speak too much back then, but I knew I could kind of feel in his movement when I would shoot him and fight against him that maybe giving him a couple years we could see him, and then what do you know, he pops up, and then what do you know, I'm working with him two different times because he joined Envy as well.
He did. Afterwards, there was a second squad that they were actually very strong squad as well,
with Stan and Trippy on along with Ola. It was the LG roster.
And I mean, Sane and Trippy are 2 incredibly talented players, so you are kind of recognizing this talent that's on the come up, grabbing them as early as you can, and then mentor them to success, ideally.
A mentor
Yeah.
is very important in this industry, if not a lot of the other industries and anything in life. Having a person who can guide, these young individuals into shaping their careers and the pathways, so they can sustain that lifestyle even beyond playing professionally.
Yeah, and I would say so much more important in esports because the age that it all begins is so
So
much
young.
younger.
The
You're
personal
molding
development.
children pretty much.
Yes.
Yeah, they're so young, and
Yep.
yeah, so just for them to recognize that kind of mature mindset and be professional and have that future looking kind of path is so important. So the
Oh,
fact
yeah.
that you're instilling that in them is pretty incredible, and I mean it's paying off. These guys are all legends in their own right. Now you're adding Shotzi to
And what
the,
do you know? I got Shotzi with me now. It was only a matter of time.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So in the meantime, you form the squad. You go up against Optic in the end of 2016. You win the fall season final. So it looks like things, kind of turned out in the way you had hoped. That you were as strong as people thought you could be.
Yeah.
And then 2017 starts up, and I don't want to say a rocky start, but you seem to have some trouble against Liquid a couple times, right? So it starts off with St. Louis. You get to grand finals with Optic, or winter finals with Optic. You get knocked into losers. Liquid takes you out. And then Emmy Las Vegas, you lose to Liquid once again for third place. And it seemed like Liquid was becoming a bit of a rival at the time. But then we come into Worlds. And Worlds was a bit of an unfortunate start for you guys. Of course, being as strong as you are, the first game up against Splice, and you lose that series. And we have some background with you and Splice in that we can showcase while we chat about it. Tell me about this, man. I mean, World's $1 million prize pool. You lose twice, Splice and Liquid, almost back. It was the same day, I think, right? And then you end up in losers bracket.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me about this.
I think it took us getting it to that point to finally realize that, like, all right, guys, like, we gotta, really lock in and focus up. I think we were going through some stuff even beforehand, before that tournament, a lot of behind the scenes things.
Okay.
And, and there's always a lot of behind the scenes things that a lot of people, the fans and whatnot, they never really see. And for some reason, our team, it took us getting into dire situations like that to bring the best out of us.
Right.
Unfortunately. And Splice was a team that we didn't really get to play against very much, actually. So, they had a very wild, push-heavy type team with a lot of individual skill, a lot of individual movement. And they just kind of took us, off guard. And then that kind of, we weren't able to rebound moving forward to the Liquid series. But then after that, I know a lot of people saw what happened, when we were pushed, to the wall.
Yes.
In terms of who we had to play for the remainder of that tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right, though, just as far as, not really recognizing the capability of Splice. Like, it was just a very weird year in Halo, a transitionary kind of year where all of these new players were coming in and showcasing how talented they were. Yeah, the meta was changing as well. Players, and something I noticed, just last week, we were talking about 2016. So many ARs and autos were used in 2016. People couldn't finish their Magnum kills. They switched to AR. They finish them off. Now that
Radar
I'm watching it, Radar was full time, right? That transition, I guess, there was an update that happens after Worlds that takes this stuff out, right?
Yeah.
But you can see the assault rifles are still in play, but people aren't using them anywhere near as much. Like, they are still, you still have the SMG, you have the storm rifle or whatnot, but it just seems like people are flying faster. They're hitting these Magnum shots they weren't last year. They're hitting these crazy snipes. The game's getting faster, and people are starting to figure out the meta and just the whole blocking spawns and rotations. And that's something we're going to look at with some of your coaching that you do really, really well. But yeah, Splice on the come up, and then you had Liquid, which was a new roster as well, full of incredibly talented players. You had Penguin, Rain on there, so like a lot of really good players that were on the come up at the time.
I have another story about Penguin. Zane, I found him in H2A when I was streaming, and he subbed to my channel, and we would just play matchmaking. I'm like, damn, like, I could actually just play with this kid, and he's holding his own. And that's kind of rare when you find a lot of people, at least then. Nowadays, people are a little bit better generally now, but then it was kind of random to find somebody from your stream that actually like could keep up, and then next thing you know, Zane is doing his thing and becoming a one of the arguably top Halo players, best Halo players, you know, in that time period of, you know, Halo 5 for sure.
Yeah,
And Halo 3, he's really good at Halo 3 as well. So
it is.
yeah, it was just funny story as well.
Is it your stream? Is that the place that all these good young players go? Because so you were a big streamer back, because that's how you joined Denial to begin with, right? It was through your streaming background, was it?
So
that's what I think. I think I read that somewhere. I'm not sure.
So I knew the owner at the time
Okay.
as well, and but streaming has always just been a hobby. I've been partnered with Twitch since about 2012, beginning of
Okay.
2012. And I have a more serious way of going about playing Halo and talking about Halo.
Huh.
And I guess certain people just gravitate towards that seriousness. And, you know, it just more so than not, you know, certain really good players who you see nowadays playing at a high level, you know, gravitated towards me or whatever content I was playing or doing, showing, you know, and it just kind of a coincidence that you know, with Boo Boo Doo and Penguin. Those are pretty.
Any
those are
others? Round it out.
Halo 3. I don't know if you know who Trey Try was.
Don't.
Trey Try. He became a professional player in Reach, and now he's
Okay.
working for the Dallas Mavericks. Actually, now. There's a couple other players, but I don't know if they became like pro or anything. But they got pretty good.
Right.
So I don't want to go too deep into that. I'd have to spend some time like thinking.
That's okay. Just waiting for you to say, "I made you." You know, when Penguin makes his big tweet or shut.
Nah, he put
I'm kidding.
he put the hard work in
I know.
for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I talked to Penguin recently, and the guy's so dedicated. He's talented. He was training. I keep telling people this, but he was training himself for the Red Bull event by drinking Red Bull, like a certain amount of Red Bull, like every day or whatever leading up, so that he
sounds a lot
didn't.
like him.
So his system didn't get shocked when he had Red Bull at the tournament. If he had too much, he didn't get all, you know, jittery or whatever.
Yeah,
It's like, damn, the dude's like
He-
thinking about it
he's
holistically.
meticulous. He's
Yeah,
meticulous.
yeah.
He's very smart. People don't understand how smart Zane is. Like he's a brainiac for sure.
So speaking of smart players, in the meantime, you're guiding Envious through this horrible situation. You're in losers bracket. Your back's against a wall, and you have this incredible turn of events, right? So you said it took you to this point to get here. You end up fighting your way through losers, sweeping every single team in your path. You sweep Supremacy, Crowd Pleasers, Luminosity, and then we get up to Straight Rippin'. And for the Straight Rippin' series, I caught a really cool highlight in the very end, so I figured we'd watch some of this together.
Okay,
I think what we're going to do is we'll have some audio, and we'll have the producers managing this. We'll have some audio, but we're going to talk over it, and hopefully you guys in the chat can hear both as they happen. But let's play up the Straight Rippin' series at the very end here, and hopefully you can tell me kind of what you're experiencing here, because Hook starts to go off, and he comes out of nowhere. Let's get that. So it's right here.
Okay, yeah. So you see Renegade. He's in a great position right now with Railgun controlling, you know, pretty much our side, our silo and everything, and they just have us all dead, forcing us to spawn on the outside, which is like the only thing we could do is beeline from our base if we can and get around. And
Exactly.
it looks like Kyler just makes a crazy play to get a double and then ends up using the railgun to finish off the entire team. He basically essentially kills the entire team by himself. Obviously, there's a lot of distractions opening up, you know, for him to make those plays, but you still have to hit those shots and make those decisions. So for a player like this, who, you know, who's only been competing in Halo for, you know, roughly a year, a little over a year and some change, it's just wild to me. I never seen anything like it before, and that was before even knowing too much about all of the COD history. I had to go back and, you know, brush up with that history. And I mean, this is just Kyler things. Like it doesn't even surprise me anymore whenever he does stuff like this. Like he could compete in Halo right now if he wanted to. He could really do. I honestly truly believe that he could compete in just about any.
Just jump in and he's already pro level pretty much.
He's really good at Fortnite as well.
Dude. Yeah. Oh my
he's
God.
good at PUBG. He's played CS. I've seen him shredded up in CS, and just looking at.
What about PC though, like mouse and keyboard? Is he doing both?
Yeah,
or is he
plays Fortnite on the
it?
mouse and keyboard.
Okay, you gotta.
Yeah, he's gonna want to play whatever the top level
Right.
is.
Okay.
Not saying that playing Fortnite with a controller is not high level. It's definitely gonna be really hard to do.
Yes.
But,
Logically speaking, where's the highest skill ceiling present?
you probably
right
play
now, mouse and
PC.
keyboard. Yeah.
Yeah.
The one thing I wanted to ask though at the very beginning, if we jump back to the beginning of this clip real quick, was just where did who come from is what I was wondering, because they dropped 3 dead at the start of the clip, so hopefully we can get a replay on it. There it is. Yeah, so I think we're at it. Yeah, he's going to come around, and then we're going to have a quick 3 dead, and like you said, he's blocking Silo, so they're forcing the spawn over in Garage. Hook isn't among the 3 who die. Hook comes from behind over on Silo side. So
Yeah.
do you know, was he hiding?
He definitely was hiding. He was either bottom center hiding,
Yeah.
or he was like somewhere around their court side. So there he is. Like, yeah, he was hiding around their court side, bottom middle, making sure not to be seen, because like he's got to get that first kill, like no matter what. Like he's got to get the first kill and basically survive and get another kill, which he did, and then basically our other teammates were spawning, getting shots from off their spawns, which definitely made it a lot easier for him to clean up the rest of the straight ripping.
Yeah.
And then look at him, look at the movement, like
this right here. Yeah, they're blocking Garage, and now he's going to look over Silo, but he's catching, he's jumping, like he knows that Hines is going to do that overshoot, so he skips the Silo altogether, goes to the corner, finishes off Hines.
He wants to finish him. He wants to push him back. He wants to corral him back into an area where he wants, so he can dictate the spawns and gain control over that particular area. So I mean, like he's just so fast on everything. He knows what the objective is supposed to happen. As soon as he's finished with the next, he's on to that next one. And just him getting on a killing frenzy right now. Look how fast it is. Like, he knows to fly. He knows to fly. Everyone is in sync at this point. Now the pace of the game is our pace now. It's no longer Straight Rippin's pace. It's our pace now. Everyone is in sync. Everyone knows what they should be doing. We're playing lanes and we're living. I mean, Hugh is just not dying.
That's what you're fighting for then, right? As the coach here, you're like, how do I get these guys in sync, get the momentum going, and then they just kind of continue to carry it from there. And you just make sure everything, you're dotting the T, or dotting the I's, crossing the T's.
Yeah. So essentially all the information that's being relayed to everyone is processing it and processing the information that more or less applies to their situation, and filtering out any of the information that is not that relevant to what side of the map or what they're doing, whatever objective they're doing.
What did practice? Sorry, say what you're gonna say.
And then when you can get to that point when you can truly see the teamwork in a team, and whenever the pace of the game is, you can just tell they know, I kill this guy, I'm gonna go into this area, like immediately, like the process, a step-by-step process. Everybody knows their role. Yeah. What did practice look like for you guys, by the way? So, like, I assume you were in the same kind of house together. What was that like? Because you had to really kind of grind quickly and get to this level. Yeah. So, me and Snipe Down around this time were roommates. Okay. I think Austin had moved back to Michigan. He was living in Charlotte in our apartments for a little bit as well. And Ola would drive up, because he lived about an hour away from us. And it would mainly just be me, Ola, and Eric, just kind of, practicing. I think we did have one little team LAN because we had content that we needed to do before Worlds, because I think Tashi had set up some stuff with us, and, we ended up having the whole team there for a little bit. So we did have the team there playing for just a tad bit. I think we played on one online qualifier with the whole team. But besides that, we were definitely going through some communicational things. Like, I think everyone was such good friends with everyone. We were afraid to really say things that might, be harmful to the relationship, and we didn't really know how to just flat out say certain things were certain people's issues and whatnot. And it kind of hurt us moving forward into that particular tournament. Yeah. Interesting. So much that you guys had to go through together to get to the place that you are now. Of course, continuing with that tournament, you make it back to Liquid.
You managed to defeat Liquid this time. You guys are just on an incredible momentum, and then you make it to grand finals. And grand finals, there's this one. It was unfortunate that it was 4-0, considering everything you guys went through to get there. But there was this one amazing timestamp where you could hear all the communication happening, and you could hear how you kind of fit into the mix there. I'd like to play that timestamp if possible. I'd like to hear it. Hopefully myself and alumni can hear it, and you, the viewers, can hear it. But we'll play it once with audio, and then we'll come back and chat about it. See, I don't hear it, but
I have a sniper. They have a sniper. Yep.
It's actually really well done.
We can milk this. I can just force our way. Why don't behind the plant, in yard, guys, and like, we can yard. He's gonna lead out, doesn't he? Another guy in yard. Weak. I'm not going. Nice clear. Back up. Nice clear. You can go now. Is he sniping a snipe? Yes, I saw him. Stay alive. I'm pushing into yard. No, on me, top plate. I can't see. We need to He dropped Yuki. Fire's not lost. You can prove that. Get out of there. Bottom come. That towar's gonna walk. There's two blue, one's weak. Three. Yes, there's two. Stay alive. We can rotate past them to them. And that's four. Yes, three just went to blue. We can rotate past. Might be a guy in hotel. Hotel weak. Blue. Stay alive. I'm getting shot. John, no, U-turn, chasing. I can't see him. He didn't push all the way out. One shot. I'm running. Be careful here. Watch your flowers. Hold on, one shot up here. There's top middle right now. Need Lewis. Obi's up, guys. Alright, there's a safe by one shot on the umbrella. I got it. We got it. Bottom center, one shot. Safe by time to find you. Never mind. I traded. Nice. Good job. Good pick up. Another guy at that yard. Stay alive. Yep. There you go. He's gonna be yard, man. Be ready to dip set at any time. They could be in blue. They're all pushing yard. They're all pushing yard. All behind him. Stay alive. I'm pushing behind them. There we go. 3 yard weak. One's weak. Stay alive. I'm pushing in here. Alright, we're pushing. What's up, yard? Push. Top yellow. We picked one. I can't do it. We got 2. Top yellow. One shot. Top yellow. 3. Nice. I'm going to collapsing, dude. I'm pushing. There we go. I'm going back to side. That's what we do. We find numbers. Right now, dude. They might spot on me. I'm playing two. I got one. Light rifle yard. Light rifle hall, yeah. 2 in yard. Watch the hall. Once we can hall. Another one there. One shot light hall. I need help. He's one shot. One. We push in. One shot. I'm gonna look at him. Top yellow. Do we want to push in? Not take top yellow. Top yellow. One shot. Absolute top middle. Top middle. I didn't kill him. He must have dropped it. He had to have dropped somewhere. He's got him. Yeah, we got him. Nice shot. Nice. Looking at cafe behind me. Glass, yeah. Yo, we should block snipe. One did. I'm getting killed. I'm getting shot by. Yo, there is a guy. Bottom left. Leave him on there again. Driveway kill. Top middle. Where's he going? Driveway go into the RPR, guys. Top middle. One shot. He might charge flowers. He might. Yeah, yo, that's sharp. We can hear. Wait, in yard? One shot yard. We can flowers, man. He flowers up to that. Flowers up that. Yep. He's marking. He's one off. I'm trying to. Nice. There's a guy. One shot blue ramp. I can't see anything. He's in blue. Combo. Out in blue. Cafe frosty. I'm leaving. He's near the pillar. Near we are.
Nice little cushioning out of Team Envious, but I tell you.
There we go. So I couldn't hear it, unfortunately. I'm not sure if you were able to.
Yeah, I was watching it on the live stream, just listening to the comms and whatnot.
Yeah. So it was a really great moment there, kind of a turning point in the match where you guys started to, you got some momentum going. You managed to kind of take control of the situation, predict the spawns, work together. And I could hear you in the background, keeping them all motivated and making sure they were on track. Let's play it up one more time and let's talk about it a bit. Do you remember this moment?
Yeah, actually I do. It's just wild to actually hear myself again in that time period, because it was like, damn, I was like given some really good just like sub information, real subtle information.
Damn, I was pretty good.
Yeah. No,
it was good though.
Yeah, no, because Austin is sniper. I'm really making sure that I'm guiding him into the areas, the proper areas where he can survive and succeed, and snipe the way that he needs to, by letting him know slowly what the other 3 are doing when they're pushing, when they're clearing out an area, when they're rotating. He's got to keep up with their rotate, because as they keep pushing things, he's got to leave and kind of be right behind them, because the spawners on Optic are going to be looking to push him and kill him and regain position and just take the sniper out of his hands, because we've seen what Frosty does on Plaza. If he gets sniper, and it's tough to win Plaza games and stuff like that if you don't control Overshield and sniper.
Which this is a perfect example right here. He was back over in yard, and they recognized that they could rotate past.
But then he had to rotate even more, though.
Exactly, he had to follow, and now you can see him doing it again now to get back into cafe.
Because they won a lot of the fights in yard. He's no longer able to stay at snipe, because we've won those fights and we've pushed, he's got to run block blue. We don't want them to spawn blue, and he's going to basically follow the whole team up and get control again that way.
Yeah.
Keep him on a spawn cycle, and then you basically create a circle system around Plaza, essentially.
Yeah, which worked out really well in this sequence until it started to kind of, you lost it here when Hook said, we should go sniper, and that's what's happening right now. But he's a second too late. Somebody spawned bottom lift. They weren't prepared for it. Hook drops, and they've got a split spawn. They had some in loop, some in lift, and it kind of created this dilemma here.
So what should have happened is, when 2 died, we should have just I think rotated all the way over with sniper to get to yard with sniper and get out of blue.
That could have worked.
Yeah, that like right around the light rifle and whatnot, try to rotate over to that area with the sniper and play that side of the map, essentially.
Yeah.
So
definitely, yeah.
Because we don't want to survive in blue and spawn in blue. We don't want that. Like,
it's a tough place to survive. Yeah.
Yeah. We don't really want to survive there. We either want to leave there, or we just want to fight and pretty much die there if there's no other alternative but to die. But we don't want to like stay alive there, because it just creates just more chaos.
Yeah, like despite it being kind of like a precarious area, you guys actually do make it work for a bit, though, because there's this one moment, John, if you're able to go back to the OS poll, and then we can kind of just talk about what happens on that rotation there. So it's about the midpoint there. At one point, I think it's Snipe Down says, I'm going snipe. He blocks snipe. You have some in yard. Mikwin's in cafe, and he knows that loop is open, and then he just puts his angle out on loop, and he gets a nice quick headshot. And it was like the perfect timing to block the spawns and to force them in a specific location. So if you're able to go back to that like OS poll, we can display it real quick. But it was just a perfect example. There's also one moment where you said on the comms, you're like, "That's right." Like I can't remember what it was. You're like, "That's what we do."
Yeah,
or
yeah,
something.
Yeah. I'm just feeding positive information, positive messages. It lets the guys know that everyone is doing what they need to do. Subtle things like that relax players, like calm them down, and it helps them put the moment in perspective so that they can make better decisions. Like any little subtle thing like that, when a team is doing all the right things, obviously you want to praise them. You want to let them know that, okay, guys, like we're playing our pace, we're playing our game, we're rotating, we're doing everything we need to be doing right now. Let's keep it up.
Which is so true in so many areas. Like I'm just thinking even as talent in different shows and stuff that I've been a part of, I've had producers who have been really, they send that positive reinforcement, that feedback that just makes you comfortable and confident you deliver your best work. The same thing in gaming, right? These people are very intense, high pressure scenarios. You need to be able to feed them that empowering, positive information. And here it is coming up right now. So Mikwin, he's rotating back to cafe. They're all going up into cafe. And then you'll see, so beautiful snipe here. Yep. And then Snipe Down's like, I'm pushing snipe. There he is on snipe. He blocks snipe. They're blocking yard, loop spawn, headshot. Look at that. That's so sick. Like that they very quickly can capitalize. And that's how you kind of even you can make blue work.
You can make it work for sure. When certain people are alive in the certain areas, where they need to be. But it just showcases that the knowledge of knowing if I have teammates in certain areas, then the enemy's got to be in this particular area more so than not, because that's the open area of the map. So Austin kind of knew where to look generally with Sniper because of where his teammates are positioned, as well as communication, and obviously he's got a laser for a snipe. So
his snipe is actually crazy.
Those snipes are actually routine for him, where it looked like it was a pretty good snipe for sure to everyone else, but for him it's just kind of routine.
Yeah. I mean, it's something that I was thinking going back and watching these VODs is like Mikwin's snipes was one thing. Mikwin's snipes are on another level. Like, I can't believe the guy stopped playing, to be honest. He's not like, he's what, 26 or something? Like, I don't know. Like,
he's still young. He's
because he's literally like ridiculous. Like, that was like some inhuman, like the stuff that he was snapping. Like, if you guys go watch 2017 Mikwin snipes, like, dude,
even in H2A, I think H2A, he was definitely arguably probably one of the best snipers in the league. H2A, because his quick scopes, it didn't matter. Like, I feel like he snipes better under pressure when he has people shooting at him. He's even more likely to probably snipe you.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just you gotta stay on top of him with like living. If you can keep Austin alive, he becomes the best player in the game, because if you look at the worlds run, he was unstoppable. That tournament, he was just destroying everything.
Yeah.
One of his best tournaments I've seen, for sure.
Yeah.
At least in Halo 5.
Right. And I mean, that's the perfect thing is recognizing the value that each individual player brings to the table, and kind of creating an environment where they can give their best work. They can do their best plays and play in this. They feel, they have the freedom, I guess, to play the way that they, that they can kind of pop off and excel. Yeah. And something that you definitely, were able to showcase that for them, huh?
Within guidelines.
Yeah. It's just really cool to see that happen. And it's nice to know, like, because that's what you said, is like coaching didn't really get that spotlight previously. It was never really something that was seen in it wasn't appreciated in the way that it should be. And I think that you are kind of one of those pioneers who showcase that it really can help. Like, of course, these are very talented players, but you need that kind of guiding hand to make sure that they're, they're working together correctly. They feel good. They feel confident. They're not bickering amongst each other. You don't have the whole Roy and Lunchbox thing going on,
Yeah, and I have to pay tribute to a lot of the other coaches that kind of like started off even before me, and that's like Towie, that's like Triple X, right. Lammy, Mazik, 610. I know he doesn't have like the best rap, but I know he was coaching back in the day and whatnot. So I just have to like pay tribute to some of the people I saw coaching and doing that and supporting their teams and like that way. And so now coaching is a bigger thing because there's a lot more job opportunities as coaches, head coaches or assistant coaches or analysts even is technically kind of a coach as well. So there's a lot more opportunities to utilize that position in esports as a whole now, as well as Halo.
Yeah, which is great. And it's something that I think a lot of these younger guys, you're competing now, maybe that's your ultimate focus, but recognizing these avenues to success and ways that you can kind of create a future career for yourself that doesn't just have to be in the pro scene. You won't be a pro forever, right? So so all these cool new avenues opening up, especially analysis as well, man. I can relate to that. And I've been trying to find my way into there in the meantime.
Yeah, analysis and data and whatnot is very important. It's so important because it's all the statistics in order so teams and players and staff can, this is more so for the esports side of things, I'd say, but get a foothold and the edge on percentages of win-loss ratios on certain maps, certain sides, and a lot of analysis is needed in Call of Duty, actually. Surprisingly enough, like doing a lot of research on what teams do and what routes they take and what maps they play. Yeah, was very heavy in Call of Duty for sure.
Do you find that going back to Halo, do you find that you were watching a lot of VODs in the meantime? Like you were watching teams face each other, certain strats and stuff like that? Did that happen when you were?
Yeah, we watched a lot of VODs, but we knew a lot of people's play styles. Certain people had particular play styles that really stood out for us. For instance, like when we had the veto system early in Halo 5, I think right around the time, I think it was it was an esports arena event. I forgot what the title of the event was, but there was a lot of vetoing and whatnot, and we knew what certain maps to veto against Optic. Like, we didn't really want to play them on Plaza most of the time, or we didn't want to play them on Empire, or we wanted to play them on Empire because we knew if we could play that scrappy style of controlling zone, like the strongholds and whatnot, that that was normally a better game type for us against Optic, I know, in the past. But watching VODs on that and knowing what they kind of excel at benefited us for sure.
Yeah, just kind of identifying specific styles for different teams and picking the right maps and organization of things to play as confidently as you can. Now, going on from Worlds, that kind of transitioned into a couple more events there. You had another great first place win as well. It was UMG Daytona, right? It was your next big win. There was the summer, the fall season that happened. I think Daytona took place just before that. And you managed to take out Optic Gaming once again there. Following that, you had a couple fourth, third placements. Eventually, Hook made his transition over to COD. So kind of how did things, I guess it was towards the end of 2017, things started to disband. Yeah, tell me a bit about that. I feel like people didn't want to see Hook go. There was still a lot of potential there. I'm sure for Envy, it was a bit of an unfortunate split. Did they all feel like it was the right time to do that, though?
I think it was the perfect time to do it because he was never meant to stay in Halo for any longer until he turned 18. So, I mean, like, I think that's a pretty successful career in my opinion. If you're a Halo player, like, even if you do stop playing Halo and transition to a different game. And it just made sense at the time for the organization and the staff. I mean, like, we had kind of already planned that, obviously, when we picked Hugh up for the Halo roster, that we would keep him and transfer him over into our Call of Duty roster. That was already thought about when we were picking him up for the Halo roster.
Yeah.
We were already thinking a year and a half or, a year and some change before all that we would have him switch over to COD whenever he was ready and of age.
Yeah, and I remember you saying just before we went live, just kind of the transition that Hook has been through, and that you've been there with him throughout that entire process. His when he started even on Denial, going on to Envy, and now going with Envy COD. Tell me a bit about that. I guess he's kind of, he's 20 now. He's like almost 20 years old, or
yeah. He's almost 20 actually. He turns 20 this month. Later on this month. So, yeah, I mean, like, COD has been up and down. COD is this very vicious game. I mean, it's so competitive. There's so many good teams and players and whatnot that it's just, most times when I'm watching COD, I can never really tell you who's going to win 100%. But seeing him get back into COD and integrate himself back into that system was wild, because there's only a few players even before him that have ever been able to interchange in between these particular titles, and that's like Formal and Crimsix and Enable.
Right.
To say three, people that I've looked up to and competed against sometime down the line in Halo, and then watching them play Call of Duty as well.
Yeah, it's a hell of a transition, but it looks like for Hook it went over smoothly, and then you have. You've got Shotzzy now. I know Frosty's on a team as well, so these guys seem to be doing pretty well in the COD space. Of course, Halo continues on, so that kind of wraps up 2017, the big moments there. Of course, you were part of all of that. But now Halo continues to exist today. Unfortunately, Halo isn't really as prominent as we'd like it to be. We all have some hopes for the future. I know you're still a Halo fan as well. They put you on the spot. The Envy podcast put you on the spot, and they said Halo versus COD. What's better? You got this short little video clip that I grabbed. Let's play that up and see what Marcus says.
Mechanically speaking, if you compare playing Halo to COD, which one do you think is in your opinion the superior esport?
I'm biased, obviously, so
I had a feeling.
I gotta go with Halo. I feel like you shoot people for longer, so it just more skill involves with the longer you have to shoot a person.
So it's the tracking on the hit mark, right? You got to keep it on them longer.
Yeah, the tracking. But after watching so much COD, there is a lot of intricacies to the game that could have an argument. You have to be attentive and pay attention to all the little minor details in COD. Who's off of streaks, who do we need to kill, who do we not need to die to, because if we die to this person, they're gonna be able to obtain things to make this game difficult. Specialists monitoring who, switching the flag, being that teammate, telling other teammates switch the flag. You don't do that too much in Halo. Switching classes, who's different roles. There's actually roles. There's people who like to play a SOG role, which is a submachine gun, versus AR, which is ICR. There's just different play styles and different roles. So there's an argument. And there's different game modes that just have completely different strategies. It's hard. It's hard argument. But I have to go with Halo because I just feel it takes more skill to shoot people longer. That's all.
Of course, as a Halo fan, I'm inclined to agree with you here, man. Halo just takes more skill. I think it's just it's the shields, right? It's the fact that shields exist and there's a time to kill that doesn't exist in any other game. You got to hold your aimer perfectly and land that last headshot, right?
Yeah, I am a little biased towards Halo, but I have been involved in Call of Duty for about 2 years now, so I've been able to see the process and the detail behind the scenes with two different Call of Duties. One being a lot of less movement, and which was World War II, and then watching Black Ops 4, which had more advanced movement, and seeing the skill it takes and the knowledge it takes to keep track of all these other things going on in the game with specialists and all that. But in terms of just combat and just solely gunfight, when you have the decision to fight a person and back off and then fight something else and do multiple things while regaining your shields, it just feels like to me like Halo just it gives me more of an adrenaline rush fighting wise and combat wise rather than Call of Duty, where it would be like I'm gonna go here and then I'm just melted and there's nothing I can do. Or sometimes I watch fights and I'm just like, whoa, like I thought this guy had first shot, like how did he get melted when the other guy turned? You know what I mean? Like there was sometimes I just never knew who was gonna win a fight. When I saw Halo, I knew, because I could tell, I knew exactly how much damage was being done. When I'm fighting a person, or when I'm shooting a person, or when I'm getting hit, so it's just Halo to me is just more exhilarating when you win a 1v1 or get multi kills in general.
Well said. I mean, in the end of the day, they both take an incredible amount of skill. It's not really fair to put them up against each other, but I 100% agree. I think it's just the gunplay, right?
Historically,
the intricacies, and exactly. Which kind of begs the question: where do you hope to see Halo in the future with Infinite? Like, what are some things that you would hope kind of transpire with that next title that would give it the success that we all want it to have?
I just want all these separate communities to have what they need and what they've always been playing for a long time. You have like your big team battle community, you have like your zombies, or you have whatever, and you have your esports community, and I just want all of that to be able to be in one ecosystem to where everybody has their thing, and and it's all supported under one umbrella in some way, shape, or
Halo Infinite, dude. It's the perfect title name. Like, let's
I just want everybody to be happy, and I want everybody to have a title that they it gives them pride to want to play, and endless opportunities for competitive players or content creators alike to be able to continue doing what they're already doing if they're still involved in Halo, and if they're not, give them an opening to get back into Halo. And I do see a lot of possibilities in the future surrounding maybe even possibly Ninja. Who knows? You know what I mean? So
we've seen stuff.
And it's Microsoft's. So I never look past them, but
can't count them out.
Yeah.
The opportunities there for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you're right. There's so many passionate communities within Halo, and hopefully they have an answer. They have an answer that we're looking for in all of these areas, and it's going to be very difficult. It's a huge undertaking. But I think now more than ever, there's a chance that we could really, see that success and see it work out the way that we hope. And like you said, Ninja, a lot of big personalities want it to happen. Some of the biggest personalities in esports, they all came from Halo one day. So yeah, it's just try to just stay optimistic and hope it gets there. And that does cover everything I have for you. We do have a couple people in the chat who have some questions for you as well. And we'll go through those real quick here. Alumni, out of all the pros, who would you like to see make a comeback, and your favorite Halo team / logo? By unless it just says Q&A, I guess we didn't get the name of that person.
Who would I like to see come back? I've always been a big fan of Roy, and when he's actually committed and playing and grinding, he's just such a scary player. Like his demeanor, his ability, his leadership, it's just parallel to none for sure. And like he could still compete right now in Halo 3. I guarantee you, right now he could just get on out of nowhere and be.
He did it. That's what he was doing with Reciprocity.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, again, like right now, like out of the blue, just like he's just that type of player in general that I feel as though he could stop whatever he's doing and just play some Halo. Doesn't matter which title, because he's good at Halo 1. If people don't know that. I've played against him in Halo 1, and yeah, he was taught by the best. For sure. He was, you know. But and the other part of the question was what type of team?
Favorite team / logo.
Well, for a long time, my favorite team was Exit Wounds, back in Halo 2, and I actually had the pleasure to team with It Was Luck and Bonfire, and go to their house in Houston and LAN and practice in their house that they actually held LANs in Halo 2 against top teams. Yeah. And it was just like it was fanboy for sure. And that clan and that team, because they did the content better than anyone else did back then. It Was Luck's montages came out. You know, they had actual videos of their scrims. Their dad had it planned out to where they had mugs with Exit Wounds. They were doing all the branded merchandise.
Way ahead of their time there. Yeah.
In early 2009, they had DVDs of their gameplay, and I was just like, wow, like they were doing stuff. They were doing the right things but it just wasn't the right time. Right. It wasn't, you know, like that ecosystem, that realm of esports wasn't there yet.
And I mean, you say that, and now more than ever that's what we need in Halo, right? Like, and that's one of the reasons why you're so passionate about Exit Wounds, one of your favorite teams. They had content. Not many teams have that content, man. Like EG was one of my favorite teams in Halo 5 because Towie was making this beautiful content.
Towie was doing it, Exit Wounds even back then was doing lessons. So they did it all. They did the lessons. They had a whole bunch of other semi-pro players and really good top players in their clan. And locals that were really good because they would go over there and LAN with them, and they would get good because all they're doing is playing against better players as well. You know, so they were doing a lot of stuff ahead of their time.
Well, hopefully we can get some content back coming up into the next Halo games. I think that's really what's going to, you know, create these communities that stick around, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Sudsy, what's your favorite Final Fantasy?
My favorite Final Fantasy by a mile is Final Fantasy VII, but
I knew you were going to say 7.
but behind that one is Final Fantasy X.
I actually have some fond memories of 10.
Yeah, I remember playing Final Fantasy X. I remember buying it. There was this store called Microplay, I think it was, or Media Center. I don't know I forgot the name of it, but it just sold music and electronics and video games, and I bought it, and I used to sneak playing it before school because me and my brother weren't allowed to play video games on the weekdays. Our parents were very strict and only let us play on the weekends.
So somehow you still became pro level in Halo with those restrictions.
Yeah.
To make it work. Damn, dude.
When you have a passion for something and you know and you focus on that and you just learn from all your mistakes and watch film and it's just like, if you truly correct your mistakes, if you're truly taking note of what you're doing wrong in game, you will improve. You will improve.
That's
you're
so true.
Doing what you need to do. And if you have other people who can identify that, because there's some people that don't know how to identify their own mistakes. So in thus saying that, they don't know how to become better because they don't think that there's anything wrong. So having somebody that can identify that, who can articulate that in a way that you can absorb that information, and, you know, like a coach or whoever, and you need to be willing to be coachable as well. If you're not coachable, then then you need to learn how to get to that point.
Exactly. Yeah. No, that's literally it. That's the key, man. I think there are so many people who play hours and hours and hours of Halo, and sure, they're getting better, but they could accelerate that process so much so if they are analyzing their mistakes and recognizing where they're going wrong, specifically fixing those things. And like you said, allowing yourself to be coachable, like kind of consulting with other people who work with you, have the same mindset or working towards the same goal that can help you get there faster. So really, really well said. And people need to, to really consider that. Go watch your gameplay. Go watch film. It helps for sure. Burst in Lead says, what's something you want to see coming out of Halo Infinite competitive wise?
Competitive wise, I want to know PC and cross platform. Like I want to know how that's going to be. If that even is going to be a thing, which, you know, to my understanding, like it would make sense for it to go to that, you know, that step. So I would like to see a playlist where players on the controller can play just against players on the controller, and then there's a playlist that's mixed, and then there's a playlist that's just PC as well. I know that would be a lot. That would be really hard, but to nurture these communities and to get people to where they would need to be, first time people playing Halo on a PC, you know what I mean? They may not want to play against people on a controller because people on a controller are just going to be accustomed to play on that. So I would like to see specifics, like in terms of play, like lobby playlists for individual, you know, communities. Like I said earlier, like catering to all the communities.
Yeah, that's a huge question going forward. We know it's going to be on PC. They're going to have some form of crossplay. I mean, it would be a huge wrong to not have that. I was thinking maybe just have like a switch of some sort on the top of the screen or something where it's like, do you want to allow PC players to match with you or not?
That would be good. Yeah, that would be good.
When it comes to competitive, though, what do you think it should be? Like, it would make sense to open it up to PC, but at the same time, its roots are in console, and I don't know how they're going to compete with each other.
Maybe we might have to get to a point to where there's just going to be people who, like we're seeing with Apex.
Yeah,
we see people
Snipe
that are
controller.
What's to say that you wouldn't have a couple of PC players with a controller player? You know what I mean? Like, who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah,
there will be people on the controller that will be able to hang with people on the PC. I truly do believe that. But we just have to wait and see. I can't 100% like say that there's going to be a more population of better controller players than PC players. But obviously, when you have a PC, you have a mouse, you can just do more.
Advantages.
You can just do more. You know, if you can steady the aim, you can do more.
Yeah, definitely. I guess we'll see. Trini Boy, in H5, who would you consider was the most underrated coach or player?
Underrated coach or player? Underrated coach or player? Oh my goodness. Dang, that's a hard one. I think maybe. And what Halo though? Of all Halo?
H5.
H5. Okay, ooh, that's important.
Narrows it down.
Oh my god, this is tough. I'm just looking.
Who was the Splice coach? Was he a really good coach? I don't know.
John. He played a lot of Halo. I don't really know how he coached or anything like that. I would have to ask Shotzi. What did he think? What did he think of John? But underrated player, man. That's a hard one. I'd probably say like Trippy or Penguin. Even though they did get credit for some things, I still think that they still didn't get talked about as much as they probably should have because they're just really good, and there was just a lot of other good players too. Yeah. So it's kind of hard to catch them. But yeah, I'd say underrated players. Penguin, Trippy, you know, between those two for sure. That were at least on that top 4 level consistently.
Right. I was thinking maybe Neptune, who kind of snuck in the end there. Like he was on Renegades in the end, very talented player.
Neptune,
People are aware of it though. It just he didn't get that spotlight, and he might have got it if Halo 5 continued forward. You know.
Neptune. That's a good pick. I mean,
maybe.
Very underrated, and he teamed with them as well when he was on Renegades. So, my brother was actually coaching them at the time. He was teaming with APG, Mikwin, and Penguin. So they were a force too. They had some great teamwork. So Neptune, that'd be one, I'd say.
And what's cool about that is that was DreamHack Atlanta 2018. That was last year, and we're now around full circle. for this year, we've got DreamHack as well. So just to kind of close out here, I got everything I wanted to know today, and thank you for joining me. But where are you headed next? What are you going to be in DreamHack at all?
It's definitely on the radar. I don't know in what fashion. I mean, people have been asking me if I'm going to coach. People have been asking me if I'm going to play.
You were just coaching previously. You had the squad, the God squad with Ola, Snipe Down, Frosty. Gold members.
I played a little bit at AC as well.
Okay.
And I can still compete in Halo 3. There's no doubt about that after like me playing. It's just where I'm at right now in my mindset. It's hard for me to get into that mode of playing a game that I've played for so many years.
Sure.
And playing it even more when I've focused on a lot of other things going on around my life that are allowing me to do what I need to do at this point in my life. And but I do enjoy still playing Halo 3 and being involved in some way, shape, or form and doing research. But I just don't know in what fashion I'll be at DreamHack Atlanta yet. But I'm still heavily debating on going.
Well, hopefully I get to see you there. I do plan to be there as well.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, man, that would be awesome, and a good way to kind of round it back up. That was my first event that I got to attend. I got to chat with Hoaxer there as well, and it was a great time. So really excited. Yeah. But yeah, man, thank you so much for joining me. I know you're so busy. You've got this crazy roster coming up for Dallas. They look like they're going to dominate so far. So excited to see who's next. I'm going to predict who might be there. I know you can't say anything. But yeah, man, I wish you the best, and thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. I'll see you around. All right, that's everything for today's show, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Of course, I know some of you are waiting for our giveaway. We've got ! Grassroots in the chat for your chance to win the BR skin and nameplate. The winner's probably already been decided, and that's going to be sent over to me through Discord. So just give me 1 second, guys. We had a last question there. Oh no. I'll read the last question that I missed. It was Triker602 said, do you think PC players will surpass controller players? I think logically speaking, PC player has a higher skill ceiling. So, I wouldn't be surprised if they did surpass them at some point. Anyway, the winner here, we got Tua with the winner for the BR skin and nameplate. Tua, congratulations. We'll send that over to you. Enjoy your goodies. And that'll close today's show, guys. Remember, we also have merch that you can check out. Feel free to purchase any of this stuff. Of course, anything you buy here not only supports the show, it supports me as well, and I would highly appreciate that. That'll cover everything for year 3 of HCS. In today's episode of HCS Weekly, we'll be back with year 4 next week and more news. I'll see you around.